All right, guys, welcome back into another episode of To The Show Baseball Podcast presented by Beyond the Monster. I am your host, Andrew Parker. In today's episode, we are talking to one of the newest members of the Chicago White Sox 40-man roster, Duncan Davitt. And, we talked to Duncan a lot about what he's been up to this offseason that includes being a journalist for his paper there in Iowa, as well as, just being on a 40-man roster for the first time in his career, how that's kind of different from what he's used to in the past. And then we do talk about quite a few other things. But before I shoot to the interview, whether you're watching me on YouTube right now, listening on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, wherever it is that you get your episodes, please like, subscribe. I'm making a big push right now on the YouTube channel. I would very much appreciate thumbs up, comment, tell me I'm doing a good job, bad job, whatever it is. Subscribe. I appreciate it a ton. But yeah, without further ado, let me shoot you on to the interview with Duncan Davitt. All right. I am joined by Duncan Davitt, one of the newest members of the Chicago White Sox 40-man roster and another one of our University of Iowa guys. Shout out to some of our friends of the program with Ty Langenberg and Tyson Blazer and Trenton Wallace. And the University of Iowa pipeline seems like it's popping these days. But Duncan, obviously your offseason has been, I guess, pretty fun for yourself. Could you kind of walk me through, I guess, what it's been like for you so far?
Yeah, no, it's been a lot of fun. Obviously getting traded this last season kind of made this offseason a little bit different, just with some different organizational stuff. But got married like 3 days later, got added to the 40. Since then, it's kind of been another bit of a whirlwind, kind of learning kind of the ropes of what being on the 40 actually means. Not even just in this in season, but also how the difference is between a normal minor league offseason work and how an offseason being on the 40-man works. So some adjustment, but it's been a lot of fun learning about that stuff.
First of all, congratulations on being married. That is a huge accomplishment. I have now been married over a year, and it is the best thing ever. So, big time congrats on that. So was that, I guess, that week for you? What were you doing? I guess, were you on like a honeymoon? Like, what were you doing?
No, so my agent had come to my wedding, and he kind of mentioned like, "Hey, this is possible." Like, he was literally like 20 minutes after dinner ended. He comes up to me. He's like, "Hey, this is like a possibility. Figured it might be a cool wedding gift." He's like, "Great, cool. I didn't think it was possible, but awesome that you're telling me that it might be. And now my hopes are going to get up and going to get crushed here in a couple days." So my expectations still weren't super high, but we decided we're going to push our honeymoon stuff back until we can take a kind of more full trip and have to deal with some workout stuff. But no, we were just back home in Iowa still, and just kind of roaming around the house, and he shoots me a message and says, "Hey, we think this is really going to happen for you." And lo and behold, deadline comes, you get a message from one of my buddies, and he's like, "Hey, congrats." And I went and found it on Twitter, and like, oh, they added me to the 40. So no, it was a quick turnaround, and really cool to see all that stuff happen.
So obviously, you saying that you had just kind of figured out at the wedding a few days before, like, was the Rule 5 even on your mind? Like, playing all last season, kind of knowing that you were eligible for it? I know obviously you were in a different org, and I know things kind of changed, but so that literally wasn't on your radar until the week of?
Well, no, so it was. I guess my thought on it was like, I know that this is my Rule 5 year, and I know that they either need to protect me or kind of risk the Rule 5 stuff. My thought was that I'm gonna be available in the Rule 5. Like, I didn't think that there was really that much of an opportunity in for a 40-man spot. The White Sox have a lot of really good players that I thought were gonna be a little higher on the list of protection than I was, and it didn't end up working out that way. And I'm really fortunate that it kind of shook out my direction. So, like I said, I kind of knew that it was possible, but it was more like I need to perform well so I can potentially get taken to the Rule 5, and maybe if I'm lucky, get on the 40. And it worked out that I got a little lucky.
So you had mentioned something earlier about this, and you were kind of saying that you've noticed some differences a little bit, and you're kind of adjusting to life as a minor league baseball player, not on a 40, and then you said now that you are on the 40, like what has changed?
Yeah, so some of the procedural things, for instance, like the biggest one that I didn't know is that being on the 40, you no longer get the offseason paycheck that the minor league players not on the 40 man get. So that was kind of oh, okay, I need to save a little bit of money this offseason. So that was the biggest one for me. And then just kind of being in contact a little bit more with some of the big league staff. You don't have the dead periods, so they're pretty much on you the whole time. You've got more people like the trainers, the pitching coach. So it's kind of readjusting to like, all right, this is like the real thing now. It's not kind of feeling a little bit like I'm messing around. It's like this is like hundreds of $1 billions are invested in these teams. Like it's time to get real serious about these things.
Yeah, that's I feel like people don't I think that's not like a thing that a lot of fans think about, with the I think I was just seeing like a thread on Twitter not that long ago of players don't, well, like you said, players on the 40-man roster don't get paid in the offseason. And it's something that I think fans didn't really understand until maybe recently, maybe still don't, but it is a little bit of a difference between, the minor league side of things compared to the 40-man and, the big league side of things, which I find very fascinating, especially for a guy like yourself that gets added in the middle of the offseason, sort of. So definitely something unique about the, I guess, the way baseball works. But so with yourself, and I saw some quotes that Chris Getz put out, I think, to Sports Illustrated a couple months back in regards to you being added to the 40-man roster. He had brought up that he sees a versatile role for yourself, and I went and looked at your I guess your numbers over the last couple of years, and you have only started since 2023. You haven't come out of the bullpen since, and I know he had kind of said that he kind of envisioned maybe a little bit of a versatile role, like you could do bulk innings out of the bullpen, you could start, you could relieve, high leverage, whatever it was, and for yourself, like, would that be an adjustment period coming out of the bullpen? Like, what do you think about different roles for yourself?
Yeah, I mean, like you mentioned, I've only started since these past 2 seasons. But that said, I did start, or I didn't really start very often back in college. And when I did come into pro ball, I was out of the bullpen. So there's some experience. That's not to say there wouldn't be an adjustment period for sure. I mean, it's very different. But I have a good enough trust in my process that I could find a way to make it work over the course of a game rather than a set time period prior to a game, if that makes sense. So, yeah, I think there would be potentially some adjustment, but whatever it takes to get on the roster and help the team win is what I'm willing to do. So we're willing to make those adjustments if we come to them.
I see you were in the illustrious one save club at the University of Iowa. Are you going to have to channel your inner demons again if that's a possibility for you?
You know, I do remember people used to be when I come out of the bullpen, I was a little bit more animated than I am as a starter. And so I remember people in college like, man, it's always you're so exciting. It's like, and I'm like, but looking back at that guy now, I'm like, man, that was really like, I was really coming off the field screaming at people. And I just can't imagine myself doing that now as a starter. But like, you come out of a game or you come into a game in the 8th inning, kind of a jam situation, or you get out of a big ninth. And yeah, the emotions are maybe a little bit different than coming out of a 3rd inning. You know what I mean? So
Yeah, just I feel like the blood might be pumping. Just the heart rate's a little higher. I
yeah,
feel like
might get you
you
going.
gotta. Yeah, yeah, yeah. I can only imagine. I mean, I say this in a good way too, and I have some guys. I talk to guys all the time that are relievers. Maybe they're closers, or they've been closing games in the minors, and I always say that they're like a tick. They're like a tick off in a good way. Like they're a psychopath, but in a positive manner.
Yeah.
It's just you got to have like a certain something in your brain to be like a full-time closer. That's what that's why they're so special whenever you major league teams find them. But all right, so I did want to we were obviously talking about your 2025. You're getting married, add to the 40-man. Then you also are part of a trade. It's something that I'm sure you probably may not have been on your radar, but is there any type of like, how'd you find out? Like, was there any type of funny story with it, or was it just, did you find out on Twitter like a lot of players are these days? Like, I guess, what was your experience like?
Yeah, no. So it was kind of interesting. So at the time, I was with Durham with the Durham Bulls, and we were in Gwinnett. And leading up to it, we all knew that the trade deadline was coming up, and we really didn't know what the Rays were wanting to do at the time because we knew that this was the last year of that ownership group, and like, well, they might try and like really sell out and try and win something, but like we're far enough back in the East that it kind of makes sense to sell. So who knows? We'll see what kind of happens. And then as the trade deadline approached, we were kind of like, okay, they're going to try and buy into this. And one of my teammates who actually ended up getting traded to the Dodgers, he goes, "Yeah, and you," points at me and he goes, "You're getting traded to the Cubs." And I was like, "Okay, yeah, sure." They don't even know who I am. Like I was never a very high prospect. I was an 18th round pick. So like thinking that other teams would have that much interest in me was not really super high on my radar. So I'm like, I'll probably finish out the year here. And then so we get to the deadline and we're all sitting there watching the Rays Yankees game, and they've got a little ticker down in the bottom right tracking down the trade deadline, and deadline passes, and I'm like, all right, cool. I go sit back in my locker and kind of wait to see what happens with this rain delay that we're currently sitting in. And about 15 minutes later, the manager, Morgan Ensberg, pokes his head around the corner and kind of gives me that like come here finger. And I'm like points myself like me. And I literally asked one of my teammates that was sitting next to me, he's like, "Did he point at me?" And the guy just shrugged. I'm like, all right, cool. Super helpful. So I walked in into his office, and it was myself and Ben Peoples, and he basically just hits us with, "Hey, you guys have been traded to the Chicago White Sox. It's a great opportunity. Best of luck." And that was more or less the extent of the conversation. And about maybe 15 hours later, I was sitting in Charlotte. So it was pretty quick.
Okay, so I'm happy you didn't find out by a Jeff Passan,
Yeah, that would have
notification
been.
or something.
Yeah, I
Hope that
always feel
happens.
bad for those kind of notifications. Like you're
I
just
do
scrolling
too.
on Twitter and you see like, what? You're just kind of
Me,
confused.
like me.
Like what? Like that's
Yeah,
a me situation. Like when I did it, it was like, yeah, he was obviously pointing at you, dude. But like
yeah.
those Twitter
No,
situations are always unfortunate.
I do feel like it's becoming a little more common. Obviously, before Twitter, obviously was or social media wasn't really a thing, but I feel like now, like with I mean, Jeff Passan's great, man. Like he's getting that information sometimes. I feel like possibly before some of the players, even though I know it's not supposed to be that way. I know they're supposed to
Yeah.
wait till like they tell the players, but I've talked to a handful of guys that are just like, yeah, I was on a bus and I was on a minor league bus ride to the next city, and I see the Jeff Passan, my buddy taps me on the shoulder and he's like, "Hey, you got traded." Jeff Passan tweeted it. It's like, geez, man.
Yeah.
So I'm happy. I'm happy you figured out that way instead of just seeing it
Mhm.
online, because I do feel
Yeah.
like
I
that'd be a
mean,
little bit of a shock.
yeah, the trade that itself. So it was Adrian Hauser for myself, Ben Peoples, and Curtis Mead. So we had seen Jeff Passan tweet out something along the lines of like Adrian Hauser for Curtis Mead and others.
Yeah.
And we're like, oh, okay, so we know that there's others, we just don't know who yet. And then they told us, and we're like, oh, okay, it's us. So it was
Okay.
kind of halfway. Like we knew that there was somebody else going, but we weren't sure if it was in Durham or if it was somebody in one of the lower levels or who it was. So
Well, we're on the line of talking about great journalists. I had to ask it because it's something that is very, very unique, and I find it very fascinating actually.
mhm.
Because I'm going to be honest with you, a lot of guys that I talk to come across, it's like they spend their off seasons, maybe training, youth camps, or like doing pitching lessons, or hitting lessons, whatever it is. That's not the case for yourself.
Mhm.
Can you kind of walk me through what you've been up to this off season off the field, and what your side gig is?
Yeah, so my parents run a local newspaper in kind of small town Iowa, or we're not too far from Des Moines, so we cover a lot of like the Warren County, which is like a county in Iowa. We cover a lot of these high schools, city council, all these sorts of things. And They needed a sports writer a couple years ago, and I'm like, well, I can write because I studied history. I spent 4 years in college basically writing a paper every other week. So I have experience with some writing, and they're like, sure, you can do it. You know the game. Go watch this high school football game. And so I went and watched a high school football game, got a little extra money in my pocket, and they got a little sports writer out of it. And it's kind of blossomed into myself writing features about several different high school players going through recruiting processes or record setting, following these teams. And it's turned into a really fun opportunity where I get to, like, in a way, give back, because obviously with local newspapers kind of being on the downturn a little bit, this paper kind of gives me an opportunity to let these kids see themselves in a newspaper like I did when I was in high school. So it's kind of a fun opportunity to give back to the community, make myself a little extra off-season money, and then help out my parents in their small business. So it's kind of turned into a real thing for me.
Do you envision a career in, let's just say, the journalist side of things? Maybe a long time from now, not anytime
Yeah.
soon, but once the playing career is over.
It wasn't something I super heavily considered when I first started, but it's definitely something like I wouldn't be totally against at the same time. It kind of depends on where the career goes and what the opportunities look like down the road, but it's definitely not something I would dismiss offhand.
Okay, yeah, obviously, a long time from now, you still got a lot of bullets left in the
Mhm.
old gun there. So, not going to say it's going to be in the near future, but
Yeah.
obviously, I've been around a lot of guys around minor league baseball and major league baseball, and I know that you just never know, like when it's
Mhm.
your time. And I always see guys like, hey, I want to go into this, I want to go into the whatever. It's always nice to, I guess, have some passions that you can follow up on once your
Yeah.
playing days are over.
Mhm.
Because Father Time is undefeated, so
Oh, yeah.
it's he'll always win. But
One of these days, but we're trying to make that last as long as possible.
okay, yeah, no, I thought it was so cool. You never see it. You always, like I said, it's like I never see the guys on the journalist side of things. So I can appreciate that for a guy that's trying to make a living
Mhm.
on writing. So I do appreciate that. All right, so I want to shoot a little bit. So we're kind of talking about what you're doing off the field. This kind of goes hand in hand with that. So obviously, as you are aware, in minor league baseball, every Monday you had an off day, let's just say you weren't spending it on a bus ride to the next city or whatever. So let's just say you had an off day, you were home, you weren't at the field, you weren't training. What did you like to do in your free time?
Yeah, so, Montgomery had a really awesome when I spent about half the season in Montgomery, they had a really awesome golf course, so a lot of guys would go golfing. For myself, I'd go see a lot of movies. One
Oh,
of my
okay.
friends and I would go to, like, we went and saw Sinners, we went and saw the new Mission Impossible, like, we'd go see a lot of movies, or just kinda hang out around the house, around the apartment, and maybe play some video games, do some reading, um, go hang out by a pool, just kind of relaxing for the day. But I know a lot of guys go golfing, and unfortunately, I didn't get to go golfing as much as I would have liked. But we still found some ways to relax around the house, around the apartment, I guess, on those off days.
I was about to say, like, are you a pitcher in baseball and you're not a golfer? You would have been in the
I'm I'm so bad. Like, if I shoot under
you're one of
100, I'm
us.
like, oh, let's go. Like, I'm
Yeah.
juiced. But we're trying to get better. It's a very long and slow and tedious and often painful process, but we're getting there.
Just one of us, man. Just a normal
Yeah.
guy out there,
Hmm.
just trying to find their way around a golf course, man.
Well,
I
trying
think
to find
everybody
their
can
ball
relate.
around the golf course more like.
Yeah, it's sad. I think the last time I went, I thought I had brought plenty of balls, man. And then
Yep.
you're on like the eighth hole, and I'm like, we got like three
I guess
left
I'm
here.
buying. I guess I'm buying more balls at the turn.
Yeah, so no, just one of us, man.
Hmm.
We're all just trying to play golf and it's not just be the worst player of all time, and it just
Exactly.
somehow just never
100%.
happens. All right, yeah. So obviously I guess you're sort of a golfer. You're kind of in the mix with a lot of other what a lot of other players do on their off days, but um you grew up in Iowa, and I feel like you're an Iowa guy. I know you said you recently moved, but can I ask you what your thoughts are on one of the best things that the state of Iowa has given the country in Casey's Pizza?
Oh, Casey's Pizza. So let me paint you a picture here, right?
Okay.
The town I grew up in, where, like I mentioned a couple of minutes ago, it's not far from Des Moines. So we're a relatively decent sized town
Yeah.
for Iowa standards. We have about 15 to 20,000 people in town. We have 5 Casey's. 5. Okay, and they're not referred to as like, oh, the Casey's over there. No, it's the North Casey's, the Central Casey's, the East, West, and South Casey's. And you learn which ones have the best pizza, because
Okay.
they're not all the same all the time. Like the South one, I've always found to be the South, and the Central one, I feel like always have like really, really greasy pizza. So like
Okay.
those are
Yeah.
good for sometimes, right? But the one over by the high school on the east side of town and the one on the north side are all a lot newer. So I found that those are a little bit oftentimes less greasy, but generally, I mean, I've never had a bad Casey's pizza ever in my life.
Same.
Yeah,
I know I don't know if it's a hot take. Like, I know people out there are like, like if you didn't kind of grow up near one, you kind of like don't like it, I guess. But I grew up in the St. Louis area and down in Southern Illinois, and we didn't have 5 in our town, but I did have like 4 within like 4 miles of my house. So, and there was one right down the road from like on the same street as my high school. So that would be the morning stop all the time. You go there after school, and it's like, I feel like it's just an acquired thing. It just might be one of those things where it's like, if you didn't kind of grow up near one, you don't appreciate it as much. Because whenever I would tell people, it's like, yeah, there's a place, in the Illinois, Iowa, all that area that you can go get a pizza at a gas station. They're like, oh, like, that sounds
gross.
horrible.
Like,
but
yeah,
7-Eleven pizza, like, no thanks. Like,
yeah.
All right,
I can understand it. Like, especially if you're growing up in like a place with like legitimately really good pizza, like in New York or Chicago, where like, why would I spend money at a gas station for a pizza when I could go to like this place that has like top-notch pizza? I could understand it.
Yeah.
But at the same time, like, who says no to a greasy, fattening pizza? You know what I mean?
Not me. And
Couldn't be me.
yeah, and in their breakfast pizza, man, it's some of the best. So large fan. Had to ask you, obviously. I feel like I'm always like getting like California guys and like Texas guys, and I gotta ask those like, like the Whataburger In and Out questions, but I'm like, I get an Iowa guy, I gotta ask about Casey's Pizza because I love it. So all right, so I have a couple questions off for you, and I will let you slide. Obviously, we're about like 1 month away from spring training report day. That is sneaking up on us. You are going to be entering your first spring training as a member of the White Sox. So you're sort of the new guy again, sort of not. Like, you're on 40, but like kind of feels like you're like that freshman again on campus type thing. But what are you looking forward to the most about your first spring training with the White Sox?
Yeah, so this is my first Arizona spring training as well, which I'm honestly so excited about. I've heard nothing but good things about Arizona spring training. Just Florida's great. You're right on the beach a lot of the time, but the travel with that stuff is not always very great. Port Charlotte has a few good golf courses, but really you kind of got to go to Sarasota or Fort Myers, Northport maybe, to find like really fun things to do. So I'm really excited to be in kind of a place where a lot is going on, and where the travel is not quite as tedious at times. So I'm excited to see kind of what the differences between the two, I guess, sides of spring training are. But then on top of that, I'm just kind of excited to get there and see if I can't make a team and meet some of the guys and make some new friends, I guess.
So you're not going to miss the hours long bus ride sometimes from, Fort Myers to wherever and all that.
As much as I can't remember the interstate that it is, but as much as I liked watching the interstate between Port Charlotte and Tampa go by, I might not miss the 2.5, 3 hours sitting in standstill traffic that whole time.
Yeah. Yeah, it's tough, man.
Yeah.
Like you said, it's like Florida spring training is, it's great because it's like you're on the beach a lot of the time, like it's all on the
Hmm.
coast, like that's good. But
Yeah.
it's just yeah, I mean, especially you guys like sitting on the bus for a little bit, going. I
Yeah.
forgot who's the furthest north on that west coast there, but it's like driving up and down that coast, man. Sometimes, man, it's
I want to
got
say
to be brutal.
it's probably either the Blue Jays or
Yeah,
the
Dunedin, I
Phillies,
think up
maybe.
there. Yeah, yeah.
But then
Still,
you get a game like, oh, you got to go to Lakeland. It's like just a random team in the middle of the state.
yeah.
Just makes kind of stinks. But what are you gonna do?
Yeah, it's tough. But Arizona spring training, I've never been. I've only done Florida. I've heard it's incredible because it's like, they're all in a line. It's like
Hmm.
they're all those complexes are almost brand new.
Yeah.
It's I've heard nothing but good things. So yeah, I actually didn't even think about that. That's
Yeah.
the first Arizona spring training there. It should be a good time.
Yeah. I'm excited for it.
All right, last question here, and I guess I'll start off. Are you like a goals guy? Do you like set goals or like like year's resolutions, anything like that?
Not so much. I mean, you obviously have ideas of like, okay, I want to achieve certain things within the year, but like, I try not to set too many like results based goals, if that makes sense. So I don't
Yep.
go out into a season like I need to throw this many innings, I need to get this many punch outs, I need to have an ERA under this because when you put that kind of thought into your head, like anything less than that is a complete and total failure. When in reality, like, okay, did I go out and did I execute the first pitch strikes? Did I execute the 1-1s? Did I execute my two strike counts? Did I limit the free bases? And if you kind of handle your process stuff, a lot of the times your results are going to end up taking care of themselves. So I really just try and focus on making sure I'm improving my process each time, whether that's limiting walks or throwing the first pitch strike or those sorts of things. Like I can't control that guy just happened to get to a slider that was three balls off the plate and flick it out to right. Like that happens. But I can control the fact that I let him get to a 2-0 count and get a good swing off on a fastball. You know what I mean? So those are where my thoughts usually end up.
Okay. Yeah, I appreciate that. And I know some guys, maybe are statistical goals where, you'll talk to guys and they're like, I want to hit 100 innings next year or whatever it is.
Mhm.
And I do appreciate though people that are not statistical goal guys because I do feel like you're setting yourself up for failure or something else. So I'll reword it. I'll ask it a different way. My question here, and
Mhm.
I'm gonna fast forward you to January 11th of 2027. So 1 year from
Okay.
today. What is something that you would like to accomplish? That can be on the field, off field, personal. That can be anything in life. What is one thing you want to accomplish by January 11th of 2027?
Yeah, I mean, the biggest thing is just being I want to play some big league innings this year and give my team a chance to win a game, whether it's as a starter, reliever, whatever it might be. But I want to be on that field, kind of look up in the stadiums and see three tiers of stands rather than the one I'm used to. But I think that's probably the biggest one, and trying to keep away from the results, but just enjoying that moment of being on a big league field with some of the guys that I've been watching play baseball for the last 10, 15 years.
Yeah, and you have your first ever official as a member of 40 man roster spring training coming up here just in a
Mhm.
month. So
Yep.
we will be looking forward to seeing it. But Duncan, I appreciate all the time. Obviously, wishing you the best of luck as you head into your 2026 season. And thank you so much for doing this.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks for having me.